set correctly. Um, I didn't know there were two steps to change orientation. I had looked it up yesterday and I saw that there was the little, on the right of the screen when you're going live, there's a little camera and you press the button, it's on the right side, and you press the choice whether you're going to shoot horizontal or vertical. So I pressed that and I put it to horizontal. So I hope I'm shooting horizontal right now. It appears to be. And then what else I didn't know was that once, right before you go live, the camera prompts you to either rotate your device or select the orientation. And I think that was up here in the right corner somewhere. So I didn't know that, and I had a false start. So it looks like I'm streaming correctly this time, and I want to keep my eye line here. Yes, I want to keep my eye line here so I know where my camera is. They have a little icon there too, which I didn't know. And so this is just some side information for all you newbies like me out there. I wanted to do a little quick update, a live update today because of my false start with the last one. And I wanted to make sure I can do this correctly, because when the time comes and I want to do a really quick update, I don't want to be fiddling around and end up shooting and a horizontal view when I want to shoot vertical. There are times I will shoot vertical, but most of these I'm going to shoot horizontal, because what I like to do is take these and then repurpose them and put them over in clean it up a little bit. If I make some errors that I want to take out, do a little bit of editing, put some, slates or whatever in there. If I want to do a little more editing or add some B-roll, which I could do in the future, I can be able to take those and then repurpose it and put it in my regular feed. So what I want to talk about today, let me walk back here a little bit to see if I can do a little bit of walking and talking, trying to shoot a little bit more interesting. And I'm out here again in front of my house. I always try to shoot when I do these, and when I do interviews, if I decide to shoot outside, I try to wait for the golden hour. I'll turn this way and you can see a little bit of the nice sun coming through trees hitting me, and great time to shoot. And also make sure that I don't talk too long. So I'm walking down here. But what I wanted to really talk a little bit about, let me get myself in a good shot. What I wanted to talk a little bit about was what I did today. I took some advice from one of the many people on YouTube that are giving advice and selling coaching. So they had a great video out and it was talking about how important the thumbnails are. And again, I'm pointing this all towards people who are like me, who are new. I'm just almost closing in on 450 subscribers. So I'm getting close to the 500, and I know that's the very first stage. So I'm happy for that. But what I was working on all day today, I was cleaning up my thumbnails. Now, I had shot a film a number of years back, and I had then this film got distributed. So it's out there somewhere with a distributor called Wild Eye Releasing. But what I did was I had some behind the scenes footage that I had turned over to them, and I think they put it on the DVD also. I'm not sure, but I think they put it on the DVD release. But I wanted to do is use some of that behind the scenes footage here on my YouTube channel. So I put a bunch of that up there, and if you look in my videos, you'll scroll down and you'll see behind the scenes for within these walls. And so what I did was I wanted to create better thumbnails, because when I first uploaded it, I didn't create thumbnails. So I went back and I realized I forgot to create thumbnails for that, because it was something that I didn't shoot that same day. So what I did was, to create those thumbnails, what I did was I used some footage that I created. I decided to try to use a little bit of AI footage, and I combined that with some stock footage to make some interesting looking thumbnails. Pretty good. A friend of mine who is also an artist, he's an independent film director, and he also creates YouTube content here for YouTube. He gave me some advice and I decided to go along with it, and he saw some of the new thumbnails I made and he really liked them, so that was a happy thing for me. So what I did was I created those new thumbnails, and I spent a little bit more time than I normally was on creating my thumbnails, and it kind of instantly worked. I started getting more hits. People were not scrolling right past it. The good thing is my behind the scenes footage had been getting some views, which was really surprising to me, because this was something I had done a while ago, and I thought that, it might not be that valuable, but it's a good tool for viewers who are just starting film to see what it's like to shoot, behind the scenes on an independent film. And we had a pretty good sized crew. We had a pretty good budget for this one. And we got some really great shots here. And, behind the scenes, you hear us talking and trying to figure things out. So it's a lot of footage that people seem to be interesting, which was really pleasing to me. But again, the main reason I was talking about it is because I've been creating those thumbnails all day long. And it really helps. I did the better thumbnails. And also what I also did was I polished up the summary a little bit. But the main thing was really taking the time, was trying to make some creative thumbnails that would catch people's eye when they're scrolling through. Because the person's video that I watched, it really made sense to me that the thumbnail is like the very first thing you see. And if the thumbnail doesn't get their attention, then they're not going to stop. And as you all know who are here on YouTube, you know that there's a lot of things. Let me get a little shot. I'm going to lean in this car for a minute. There's a lot of things competing for our attention. And if you're trying to get people to look at your videos, then you're going to have to make some thumbnails that can compete with all the great thumbnails that are already on YouTube. Right now, this is another topic I want to talk about a little bit on this live stream. When I first came back to YouTube, as many of you know who have watched my channel or who've read some of the stuff about me, I've been an independent filmmaker for a really long time. And I've sold a lot of independent films, and I'm also a SAG actor, so I have somewhat of a presence on the internet and across the internet and across the Internet Movie Database. So that helped me get a little jump start when I decided to return to my YouTube channel. And for all those who didn't hear my first video or my intro video, I've been on YouTube since I knew about it since the first year, and I joined up the second year. I had been working, here's a little funny side story. Before I joined YouTube, one reason why I didn't join the first year, because I was working with a startup that was from out of San Francisco called Aloha Cafe. And at that time, I didn't know all the details about YouTube. I knew it was there, and I checked it out a couple of times, but I really didn't join up. And I didn't join until the second year of YouTube. So I've been on here about 19 years. And my original use personally for YouTube was as a marketing tool. I would put my video samples that I would create for businesses, and I would put it on YouTube and use it to attract more businesses. And it really worked well at the beginning. And so I used it for years and years, kind of like a portfolio. And but recently, I started to decide to create original content and put here on YouTube. But let me get back to the original story. I was with a company that was going to be competition for YouTube. It was called, again, Aloha Cafe. And I think that was just a temporary name. And it was going to be a streaming service. And it was funny because we were doing the exact same thing. I was hired by the company to get content, solicit content, find good content, and publish it. And the little bit of difference with the company at the time, probably why YouTube obviously beat them out, was because the company was focusing on giving individuals channels, and they would be able to put their own content up. So it wasn't like YouTube, where it was much more free, where you have a channel and you can put stuff up. They were going to still be like an internet gatekeeper. So, at that time I was much younger, and I didn't know the details about it that much. And I didn't know the details about, obviously, what YouTube was doing, where anybody could put up the content. You didn't have to have a certain quality of content. So I was hired, though, to find people with quality content that could be put on YouTube, come on with original content that they owned, put it on there to generate, views and publicity for the channel, the overall master channel, and then start populating it with original content. So that was their idea. And it would have been a good idea, but as you see, there's been many since then like that, and they just fell by the wayside. The one I was with just so happened, unfortunately for me, to fall by the wayside much sooner than the other ones that actually made it to launch. So it was a great idea. I was glad to be brought on, and I was working with one of their other producers down here in Los Angeles. So we were the main guys who were trying to recruit talent to come on and start their own channel. And so anyway, that's just a little side story. But back to what I learned today about the thumbnails. So the thumbnails really do make a difference. I'm telling you that off the cuff story because the thumbnails really do make a difference. That's what we were telling people at the beginning. They had to have some content that would attract people, to make people want to go to their channel and look at it. So the initial content had to be attractive. It had to be something that was worthy. And we were acting as what I don't like now, But what I always had to deal with as a filmmaker, we were going to be the initial gatekeepers who we decided who we'd let set up a channel, and they could generate content. The beauty of YouTube when it came along was that if you had one video or you had no videos, you could start your channel and you could start to create your content. And that's how it is today, which is the way it should be. Again, good ideas, I always say, good ideas rise to the top, and the ones that are marginal, sometimes they have a little bit of success and then they die off, or sometimes they rise up a bit and then they stay as the second tier idea. But again, I really am a strong believer now, and I learned it today by having some success already, changing some of those thumbnails, making them more attractive, making them more, eye-catching, really helped, as opposed to me, just throwing something together or just letting the YouTube capture a thumbnail from the video. But even with those captured thumbnails from the video, I was getting a lot of success as far as viewers starting to read it. And again, I'm trying to build up my watch hours. I'm trying to put out content that people may be interested in. I'm in a niche that's not one of the popular ones. This is what I meant to talk about next. I'm in a niche that's not one of the popular ones. I've done some research online with the Google. Now I'm forgetting the name of the tool that you use to search. Trending, Google Trends, I think it's called. And so my niche as far as independent filmmaking, low budget filmmaking, stuff talking about acting, talking about directing, it's not one of the big two eye-catching areas. But there are people having success doing that. And again, what I want to do different, and what I'm planning to do different, is create humorous original content for YouTube, like it was in the very beginning. I think there was a lot more in the beginning, and I don't know whether it died off. I haven't done any research about that. I know there are some still people out there doing comedy. As an actor, I did, probably 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I did a number of videos for successful YouTubers who were focusing on short comedy. I'm not too sure if that's something. If you can leave me a comment down there, I would love to know if there are other people who are still doing that. I would love to go and look at some of their work and see what people like. I know what I like to make, and most likely, I'm kind of stubborn, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make what I like, and hopefully some of you out there will like the same type of humor that I like. So I kind of like dark humor. I kind of like, sarcasm. A lot of the stuff that's popular on like HBO, a lot of stuff that's popular on the networks. So that's the kind of stuff I want to make. But in short form, obviously. I don't have budgets to make big stuff. So that's what I got on here today to talk about. Was I had success making better thumbnails, and you can too. Follow that advice. Take time in your title, and I'm been brushing up my titles too. That's another thing I wanted to talk about. Brushing up my titles and also brushing up my thumbnails. So it really is good advice, and that's just a free tip from me, a new person, just like you, figuring this all out. And I will see you on the next one.